on the Eagles Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to the EWU Athletics Flight Report, presented by Gee Automotive, The Plains Golf Course, Corwin Ford, and by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Now, here's your host, the voice of Eagle Athletics, Larry Weir.
Flight report for this week, and we are glad that you have joined us. The Coaches Show, once again, we apologize for being a day late with things, but we are here. Head coach Jaren Banks is here. We will talk to running back Justice Jackson, linebacker Jaren Banks as well, as we get ready for the home opener on Saturday as the Eagles take on Southeastern Louisiana, and that is a red out here on Roos Field with the red field. Should be a great day for a game. Tickets available online right now. GoEags.com. Click on the tickets link. Coach Best joins us now. Eagles lost a heartbreaker on Saturday, 34-31 at Fresno State. Moral victories are not part of what happens here at Eastern Washington, but you can be very proud of your team from the effort that they gave last week. You held an FBS team that scored 39 the week before on the road against an FBS team in Purdue, a Big Ten team in Purdue. You hold them to 24 in regulation time. Tremendous effort.
Yeah, and, we've talked about this over the years, Larry. It's one thing to play with great effort. That's the minimum. That's the standard. There was some pretty good execution within that effort. So, the age-old deal is don't get effort confused with results. And the world sees results in sports as wins and losses. Those within the organizations know that it's obviously more than just the wins and just the losses. There was a ton of execution alongside the effort. We tackled better. There was less explosive plays. I mean, really, the one explosive play was on the first play of the game when we turned the ball over on our side of the 50 and didn't move the sticks and got on the field. It was probably a scripted play early on in the friend zone area where they got under center and tossed the reverse and gained 25 or 30 yards and. The game's 60 minutes for a reason, and we buckled down. We had, we probably had 6 or 8 PBUs at the end of the day with the DBs. We had, multiple sacks by guys. We had multiple TFLs. I mean, it was hard on Sunday to find out who the player of the game on defense was. There were so many plays made. We had the pick by Connor O'Farrell. There was just, and those are the moments you're excited about because there's so many. It makes it tough. The only big sting is the fact that we had the 31 and then they had the 34, and you fast forward to the end of it and, defense holds them to a field goal in double overtime and you're getting the ball at the 25 and, sports do wicked things. And part of that is having failures or shortcomings, and that's what we did in the second overtime, and that's the way it was. A phenomenal play on the sideline by their linebacker, but we played more than just hard on Saturday for sure.
All right, so you mentioned the limiting explosive plays. A couple other things that I wanted to see. 1, third down conversions. You held a team that was 11 of 17 at Purdue to just 4 of 15. Fantastic job. You also increased your offensive production there by 10 percentage points, and we saw more drives finished by the offense, especially in the second half. You guys looked like you took a step offensively.
Yeah, we did, and it was we didn't take too many steps in the first half offensively outside the one long drive that ended in a field goal or only points in the first half, just shy of 9-minute drive, 12 play I think. It was kind of a parallel drive to the one in Davis in the spring of 21, where I think it was a 21-play drive or a 20-plus play drive for 9 and change. That freshens the defense too. When you can go on those drives and get points, ideally 7s, but in this case 3. I mean, that defense is on the sideline for better part of 9 minutes, and so everybody's a winner when you have long drives and score because the other side of the ball is fresh. We were good on third down on defense. We were better on third down on offense. Brooks didn't hurt us on third down like he did Purdue. They got the ball. They made sure they got the ball to them a few times on third and fourth down. A couple times in that last drive, you have some really good moments. You wish you would have stopped them on a couple of those third and longs. 2 of the 3 third and 10 pluses were on that last drive to put themselves in position to kick the field goal to win it, which they didn't. So no harm, no foul. But it's not going to be perfect. Those guys played hard, tackled well, got hands on balls, got Mikey Keene off the spot. I mean, there was stopped the run game for a better part of the entire game. We looked like we were there to score more points. We just didn't do it in the end.
I thought Justice Jackson had an outstanding game. One thing that we kind of bemoaned for the North Dakota State game was the inability of the backs to break tackles or to make that big play or to step out, like Williams did when he had that touchdown run where he had made a great jump stop and then was able to elude some people and outran folks. Well, you saw that this week. You saw your backs breaking tackles, pushing the pile, catching the ball out of the backfield, just doing some things. Tell us a little bit about that improvement from North Dakota State to Fresno State. Did you see that, and is that something that can really help this football team?
Well, it certainly can help us, and that was one of the challenges, if you, for lack of a better term, for this team. I wanted guys to tackle forward, to run forward, to lean forward, to catch the ball forward. Everything we do is forward, to block forward. Everything kind of in a forward momentum, confident rhythm, and the backs certainly got in a couple of situations where they got stood up. There's a pile. The offensive lineman kind of joined in, and he went for another 4, 5, 6, 7 yards. Justice on 4th and 4 late in the game to put us, I believe, up at that point, with his, 40-plus or 35-plus yard touchdown run. We were in more manageable third downs, too. Against North Dakota State, we were behind the sticks a little bit too much, so we were more productive on first and second down. So the playbook's open when it's 3rd and 3 to 3rd and 6. I mean, you kind of have everything at your mercy to call. We didn't have too many 3rd and 3, 3rd and 6s against North Dakota State. They seemed to be 3rd and 7 pluses, and so those backs had a great game. They rebounded, got multiple touches. Mike touched the ball a few times. Justice got double-digit carries, if I'm not mistaken, or close to. Tuna the same way. So we're kind of finding our footing that way, and guys up front stayed on blocks. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily knocking people down. It's getting in the way, and then the backs got to trust those guys that are putting their helmets on people and engaged on people. And we did a good job. We ran with a purpose. We blocked with a purpose, and it showed for 60 minutes plus on Saturday.
I thought Kakova Vesperis really managed the game well. He ran the ball when he had to. He threw it accurately. That was just a great play on the sidelines by their linebacker who undercut the route when he was scrambling right. Chisholm was your leading receiver. You didn't have Blake Goebel. He was there, but he did not play, and so that was a big weapon that was taken out. Yet this was an offense that pushed around a Fresno State defense that had 10 of the 11 starters that were seniors on this team. A very old kind of experienced team, and Eastern Washington was a better football team on that side of the ball, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a senior laden team overall. It wasn't just them. I think there were 17, 18 out of the 22 listed as starters, offensively and defensively. Kakoa probably would tell you he'd like to have two back, the mesh with Mike and the pick at double overtime. And there's always going to be a couple you wish you had back. And if they weren't in those pinnacle moments, you wouldn't feel as bad. That's the game of football. And so, putting your arm around him, Coach Chapin does a great job, and things happen. You're on to the next play and learn from what just happened, but don't let it burden your decision-making going forward. And Kakoa did a great job. And offensively, we go as he goes, just like any guy, at that position over the years here at Eastern. We go as a quarterback goes. In any offense, he's the guy that's going to not just physically get us going, but emotionally, psychologically get us going. And Anthony Stell had a great game. He played with purpose. There was a lot of plays to be made. We almost hit him for a couple big ones to kind of spread that game out a little bit. We're just a smidgen off, but we're still 120 minutes into the season at the end of the day against number 2 team in the nation at FCS level and a team that went on the road to West Lafayette, beat Purdue. So the results aren't what we wanted on paper, but when you actually look at the way we're practicing, the way we're preparing, and the way we're passionate about it, I'm looking for a big game this weekend on the Red.
I love what I've also seen on the special teams, kicking the ball out of the back of the end zone. You eliminate the return game. Great job by Kokic punting. He's been outstanding the first 2 games of the year. There's a reason he's a all Big Sky special teams player. But you've also your field goal group is come in. Extra points are being made. Field goals are being made. You guys have a weapon again, in terms of what you're able to do. That has to make you feel good just from that standpoint, because that's the third aspect of this team that sometimes gets overlooked, and I thought they played very well on Saturday too.
Well, it's a dimension that those are always one-play basis. So it's usually between 30 and 35 snaps on average a game, all special teams plays. So when you actually look at it, when you figure 75, 75, and 30 to 35, it's not a third of the game. But when they're one-play basis and you're talking about field position within those one-play sequences, especially punt, return, kick, and kick, return, those one plays sometimes equal 4 or 5 plays. I mean, an explosive play is 20-plus. All of a sudden, you have a punt to go 60. Well, that's 3 explosive plays and 1 kick. And putting the ball at the back of the end zone. You're at the 25. The defense knows where they're going to start. You know how we're going to line up. Things are kind of calmed down. And, again, we're 120 minutes in, so we don't want to get too far in front of ourselves as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, Soren is come in and kicked a big field goal late in that game to get us in position to be able to be a one-score game. And we've only kicked 3, but we've got to be able to lean on them and the defense. And I feel like it's always fourth in. We must go when we're on the plus side of things on the 50. And the ability for those guys to continue to mature, continue to be productive, allow us the opportunity to have more weapons, not just on offense and defense.
Head coach Jaren Banks here, Southeastern Louisiana, Saturday on Roos Field in Cheney. This is a team that has put up big numbers since Frank Selfo, their head coach, came in about 6 years ago. A lot of years it's been their quarterback and an Eastern quarterback, Barry A. Cole Kelly, for Southeastern that have been the leading candidates for the Walter Payton Award. So this is a program that is very proud of their offense. What have you seen on tape for this year?
Well, it is interesting of note. Their offense is similar to our offense in sets, and some of the schemes, some of the personnels. They're trying to kind of settle on a quarterback. They've played 2 in the first 2 games. We think we got a hunch as to who they're going to lean with in game 3. But they play up tempo. They'll screen you. They'll have some trick plays, some special plays. They run zone. They run some gap scheme. They'll get you outflanked. They'll boot you a little bit. They're kind of a little bit of a mirror image of ourselves, and so it's kind of a little bit more Fresno State flavor than North Dakota State flavor offensively. They got some big kids. They got some athletic kids. They got some long kids. Defensively, they're going to play quarters a lot of the time, which turns into man. Most of the time based on route distribution, and they're going to challenge you. They're going to make you beat them. They're not going to beat themselves, and they're not going to get in their way special teams wise. They're good enough in that arena to win games, and so we certainly got a work cut out for us in all 3 phases. But we plan to go up tempo. They're the ones traveling. We're playing at home. It's a 1:00 kick. We're playing on the red. It's 85 degrees. Not much humidity. We're ready to rock and roll. We want to get out and we need to start fast. That's the big push this week. Is starting fast, putting ourselves in position to score points, hold them to the minimum amount of points, and start and try to get a lead early. See how we do with a lead early if we get to that point.
When you have a team that is similar to yourself, is it harder to prepare for them just because if there is something different, it's not something you're used to, or is it easier because it is something that you're used to?
Well, I think it's a fair question. I think when you look at it, when you face an unfamiliar foe, I think it gets kind of ramped up. North Dakota State is unfamiliar from the point of we don't see them every year, but we've seen them, what did we talk about, 5 times in the last, 7 years. So some of these guys have played them multiple times. The FBS is kind of the one-off, so those are always kind of new and, kind of special. Now you're facing an FCS foe that you've never played. And so I think it's got a little bit of an element of like the playoffs where you only get a week to prepare for them. And so not knowing much about somebody can kind of expedite your learning process and kind of put you in the film room maybe a little bit more because you're not playing in Idaho State, you're not playing at UC Davis, you're not playing in Idaho where, Hatton last year, McCoy last year. I mean, there's some things, the unfamiliarity almost kind of excites you more to say maybe I should study more, maybe I should kind of dial in and lock in more. But from a schematic standpoint, I think it only helps you because it's hard to prepare for North Dakota State in 1 week. If we're playing North Dakota State in week 3, all of a sudden now we got 5 days instead of about 8 or 9 days because we snuck a couple extra days in there being first game. So to one it may be harder, to one it might be less hard. I think it's kind of the newness of an unfamiliar foe, and the fact that we're both going after our first game, our first win. They're 0-2 with 2 FBS opponents, and we're 0-2 with 1 FBS opponent and North Dakota State. I mean, that makes it kind of intriguing as well as far as the matchup, and then we get a return to them next year. So we'll get to see them next year, and hopefully it's as good as advertised this Saturday.
People don't understand the trials and tribulations of travel. And you've had 2 games on the road at 2 different locations, Minneapolis, Fresno. Well, Southeast Louisiana gets to travel, and it's not like they've been here, a lot. This will be a unique deal. How much does that put on the coaches and players' shoulders in terms of taking you out of your comfort zone as opposed to being at a home game?
I think you'd much rather, most everybody would probably say they'd rather play at home than go on the road, no matter who they're playing. The comfortability, the non-traveling, the non-packing, just the comfort of being in your own bed, own house, own environment. The one thing we got to try to take advantage of in some way, shape, or form is this is the 3rd time they've been on the road in a row. So this is back-to-back-to-back road games, and so it's hard enough with one. Okay, I can, one. Now we've both done it twice. Now, unfortunately for them, they get to do it a 3rd time, and hopefully that's fortunate for us that for 3 games in a row, they're leaving their bags at least halfway packed because they're going on the road again on Friday. And so, it's not a disadvantage by any stretch to play at home. I think there's just some excitement. A lot of our players have not played on the red in a game because we got a ton of new faces. So it's not just our first one at home this year. It's our first one for a lot of guys that are suiting up for the first time as Eagles. So there's a lot at stake on this game and in this environment at 1 o'clock. Hope to see a bunch of fans that are excited to root on their Eagles. The students, a lot of them come in freshmen this weekend to hopefully marry up with a healthy crowd this Saturday. But regardless of the crowd size, we're after the same thing Sela's after, and that's the first victory of 2023.
Tell us a little bit about their defense. Their offense has always been one that's gotten a lot of love and have had a lot of success. What kind of scheme do they run? What are some of the things that you see that might be an issue? And they have they've got some good players on that side of the ball.
Yeah, they like to push the pocket. They got a big front. So they present some problems. They're not a big high-pressure team. They're going to make you go 6, 8, 10, 12-play drives. They're going to say, you know what, I bet you're not going to be able to hold on to the football for 12 straight plays. At some point, we're going to punch the ball out, pick the ball off, or put you in 3rd and long and put you where we want you. So we've, a little bit, in a weird way, the defense that they present is a little bit like our defense. They probably don't run as many different coverages, but they will switch up some coverages in the back end, obviously to disguise and try to keep the quarterback off balance. But they're going to rally to the football. They're going to pressure in certain situations, and they'll probably have a different game plan for us than they will the first 2 games. I mean, Mississippi State is different than South Alabama, and Eastern is different than both those teams. And so it's always kind of fun and exciting to see kind of what we anticipate based on what we've seen on film in only 2-game span to see how similar they were to last year, but also how similar they are to the first 2 games of this year. So they're going to rally the football. Great players, all-league players, athletic players, long, and they're going to get in throwing windows, and that's the biggest deal. Is we got to stay on blocks, and we got probably the most important thing on offense is not just running back position, is break tackles, because they are not friendly when they tackle. So we got to make sure that we are breaking tackles and thinking about not making the first guy miss is almost making the second guy miss, expecting to make the first guy miss. So I think this game comes down to who tackles the best and the most consistent, turnovers, who is on the plus side of things, and special teams. I think those are the 3 elements that are going to separate the winner from the non-winner.
Coach, thanks for the time. Good luck against the Lions.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, AB.
That's head coach Jaren Banks. Back with players. We'll hear from Justice Jackson and Jaren Banks coming up here on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Order Bud Light online today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Holm in motion to the right. They fake the handoff. Rolling to the right is Vesperis. Firing back in the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Touchdown, Eastern Washington, Efton Chisholm. Welcome back. Flight Report as we have this week's Coaches Show, and we are joined now by running back Justice Jackson, back home in California on Saturday of last week with a touchdown and a nice game on the ground. What did it feel like? A little closer for family and friends to come and see you there than up here in Cheney.
Yeah, it did.
What do you, the getting into the end zone at home, what'd that mean?
It meant a lot, really, because that was the first time I ever, I've had touchdowns at Eastern, but that was the first time I ever scored in front of my parents. So that was cool. I got to see the highlight after. My parents were super excited, so it was cool seeing that.
Is it, obviously you're back home in the state of California. You're a little ways from where you grew up, not just right around the corner. You'll be closer when the Eagles play at Davis next week. But does it add a little something for you to play at home?
No, I don't think it, not really, because Fresno, that was my first time actually, being in Fresno before. But to me, every game is kind of the same. It's just we got the same mission every single week. So it's not really, it feels different. Every game feels the same. All
right, so there's no moral victories in this in this thing, but you got to be encouraged with how this team played and improved from week 1 to week 2.
Oh yeah, I'm for sure encouraged, but we always got work to do. Of course, we want to come out with the win. So.
Justice, it was interesting just from the North Dakota State game to the Fresno State game. The one thing that we saw in the North Dakota State game was if there were opportunities there on blitzes to kind of break some big runs, but it just seemed like they were able to get a hand on you or just enough to knock the other running backs down when it looked like there was going to be a big play. Fresno State, you guys made the plays. You were breaking tackles. You were moving the pile. You were stepping out of those the arm grabs that maybe a week earlier would have been an issue. Did you guys have kind of a process during the week to work on something like that in terms of breaking tackles, or is it just the flow? You kind of got into it and felt really good.
I think it's just the flow. I mean, our coach don't really pressure us whenever it's any type of big game or anything. He just lets us go out there and play, and I think that's what we like about our coach. He just lets us go out there and play, so it's no pressure. And I feel like that translated to this last week. It was no pressure running out there. It's just doing what we do.
How great is it going to be home on the red? You get a chance. You've had 2 really tough road trips.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks of the season, and it's been rough, 0-2. But that was a game. There wasn't anybody on the eastern sideline that thought you guys were going to lose that game in overtime.
Yeah.
So I know that was disappointing, but I was very impressed at how physical on both sides of the ball Eastern played.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's just the mission. We got to come out to win every single time. That's the goal. Obviously, we didn't get that, but that don't take away from how hard we played. But we just got to play like that every single week.
Are you feeling more comfortable now in the offense? Your first year, you kind of everybody's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You've kind of been through the battles now. You kind of know what to expect. You've played 2 excellent teams. You get a team at home. Are you starting to feel more relaxed? Do you feel like you're kind of getting into the flow, at your position?
Yeah, I think it just comes with the age, really. I'm getting older. Everything's starting to slow down a little. And, yeah, I mean, every game I just be praying for, vision and just for the game to slow down and just go out there and just play, really.
Are you thinking that your parents are smarter than they are? Because when you were younger, you thought they were knuckleheads. That's what I thought. And then the older I got, I was like, you know what? Maybe they were right on some things. So being a little bit older, being a little bit more mature, isn't that kind of funny? Is that something you sense?
Yeah, definitely. The experience comes. Versus when I was a freshman, I didn't think I would, be playing the way that I'm playing, but yeah, definitely experience helps a lot with that.
24 transfers. A lot of guys came in, kind of flipped the roster a little bit, but there's a toughness on this team, in my opinion, that I didn't see last year. I mean, you practice against it every day. Do you see it?
Oh yeah, especially in the defense. Our defense, some dogs really, and I think the transfers that came in really helped, like Ben Allen and those type of guys. They really helped with the defense. Really brought a different edge.
All right, so off-season conditioning, we've talked about that so far in the first couple of coaches shows that we've done. Obviously very tough, but that helped build the team and the character within the team, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, our whole offense, our whole team period, our motto is just to go fast, and that kind of breaks down other teams. But, we out here running every day, running plays fast, like just getting our conditioning in so that way in the game we could be fast and the other teams slow down.
Is there anything in particular you wanted to do in the off-season to get better from last year to this year?
I really just wanted to get bigger and maintain my speed, but I've gotten a little bigger from last year, which helped a lot. I feel it helps a lot. Takes a lot of force out of the hits that I take.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to build your body, right, to be able to withstand the season. You guys have a deep running back room, so it's not on you to carry the ball 25 times a game, but still – you've got to be able to take that if that's what's needed in a particular game, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, so in that running back room, you've got Tuna. You guys are the ones that have been here for a while. And then some younger guys in behind you, from Malik Dotson, a JC transfer, to Nick Adamora, and some of those guys. How much is leadership natural for you, or is that something that you're having to work on?
It's actually something I'm having to work on. I think when I first got here, it was a bunch of older dudes in front of me, and I kind of just did what they did. And now I'm the oldest dude, so it's been kind of weird, but I'm doing the best I can with trying to lead. I'm not really like a vocal, like, you do this, you do that. It's more just like a pull you to the side, like, hey, like, I like what you did here, but, try this, that type of leadership. So I'm just growing into that.
All right, so they did a video last week or the week before, and it wasn't unanimous, but it was pretty close to being unanimous. The funniest guy on the team, Justice Jackson. Why?
I don't know. Honestly,
do you always have a joke ready, or?
No, like I don't know if it's the way I act, but that's just how I am, really. I'm just trying to make somebody laugh.
You got a good sense of humor. I like that. People used to laugh at me the way I played, but that's probably not the way you want to do it. You want to have respect and not be made fun of like I was. But, the one thing you were talking about, too, is, when you go up against a defense with kind of an attitude and a bunch of dogs, as you mentioned, on the other side, doesn't that make you play better and play harder because you're seeing it now in practice?
Yeah.
You're having to compete against maybe a level that you didn't have to compete against last year. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, especially even like today. Defense was going hard today, and it's just kind of like you go hard in practice, you're not going to be surprised on game day when they go hard because you're used to it already.
It's been a rough start. Is this going to be a game that Eastern can turn things around and start heading in the right direction? First 5 games are a meat grinder, but Eastern came out of that, got votes in the top 25, 0-2, and yet you're still receiving votes as one of the better teams in the country. Does this team feel like they're one of the better teams in the country?
Yeah, it does. This team feels a lot different, especially from last year. We have a sense of, like, togetherness now, and, somebody mess up last year, come on, bro. But this year it's more like, you good, let's get back to it. So, yeah, definitely, yeah.
All right, what are you majoring in? What do you want to do with life after football once that time comes?
I'm majoring in physical education, but after football, hopefully I could go to the league, something like that. But, if that doesn't work out, then try and be a PE teacher and a coach.
High school level?
Yeah, high school, probably like middle school teacher. I don't know. High schooler is kind of rude. I don't know.
Justice, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Good luck on Saturday against Southeast Louisiana.
You. Appreciate
Thanks, Justice. Well done.
All right, we'll be back with more here on the Eagle Football Coaches Show, the flight report for this week after this timeout on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
When you work around here, your day can go all over the map. You need a truck that takes on any task and keeps working hard no matter what crops up. Smart and tough trucks from Corwin Ford make your work easier, whether it's finding your destination or getting to work once you're there. So load up, head out, and no matter where you tow, you'll be on track to get the job done. Corwin Ford, family driven for over 100 years.
Keen out of the gun, flaps his hands, takes the snap, waist high, fades back, pressure coming, he is hit and sacked on the blitz. Dejon Wells, his first career sack, the corner blitz. Welcome back to Flight Report for this week. Don't forget that the Eagles take on Southeastern Louisiana. It's a red out on Roos Field on Saturday. Game time is 1 o'clock. Tickets are available online at goeags.com. Radio broadcast starts at noon. Linebacker Jaren Banks is here, and The thing that everybody notices about you is all they got to do is look at you with the shock of blonde hair. So where did the idea come about, and why did you do it?
I'd say it dates all the way back to being at Rice. You know, a couple guys bleached their hair. I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. Then got to Eastern, was like, all right, I need to, find my way and play a little bit and all that. And then this old Coastal Carolina linebacker, Teddy Gallagher, I saw his Instagram post, and I saw he had blonde hair, and, Coastal Carolina were kind of the mullet guys. I'm like, oh, last year, might as well do something fun with it. So I think Northern Colorado right after that, I was like, all right, I'm going to grow their hair out. Didn't realize how much maintenance was going to be until probably August, and I was like, wow, this is a lot. But dyed it end of July, and then I've been playing with it ever since. And
was it all kind of a change type thing that, okay, last year didn't necessarily go how you wanted, so we're going to do something different this year and see what happens?
Yeah, a little bit. And, kind of being the older guy on the team, some people call it like a quarter life crisis a little bit. So that's a running joke with them. But, yeah, it's a little different, switch up, get the guys smile a little bit, even when it's a serious game and we all know it, and just have fun with it.
Are you at all superstitious so that if you're having good luck with the hair as it is now, do you make a change, or do you roll with it because you don't want to make any changes?
Oh, that's I'm superstitious here and there, and it's definitely had crossed my mind. It's like, oh, do I need to cut it or anything like that? And these next couple games, I said give it to bye week, and we'll see how it goes, and it's either gonna stay or go, during bye week. So I'm going to let a couple guys have some influence, but ultimately I'm a final say.
Jaren, I was really superstitious. I'd put the socks on the same way. If I had a good game, I wouldn't wash them. Boy, they got launched after a couple of weeks because they stunk. So there's some things in terms of superstition that all athletes go through and do. But I really love the way the linebacking core is playing right now. And you've got 3 transfers in there. Besides yourself, you also have Cohen from UCLA and Allen from Bucknell. But you guys, you were the more physical football team in that second half, in my opinion, against Fresno State. And there's a different vibe on this defense this year. You guys are laying the wood. You're smacking people around. You're creating tackle for losses and sacks. I mean, I really like this, the way that this Eastern defense has responded. What has been the point for you guys in terms of getting to this point and turning things around from last year to this year?
Yeah, I think it all just starts with accountability. And, last year we had some stagnant areas, and that just kind of domino effect. And this year's biggest is believing in each other, believing in guys. So we believe in the front guys, believe in the secondary, do their job, and they're believing in us to do our job. And it's very cliche to say, but a lot of us are playing with the hair back of our head. So whatever it is, first down, second down, third down, we know that it's really nice to have 3 and outs. Guys are dead after 9-play series. You saw it with the offense putting, I think it was a 19-play drive or something like that against Fresno State. That's huge for us, so we can get a little rest. And being able to get quick stops is huge for us because we're not playing from behind too.
Has the depth been a difference? Because you seem fresher. In that fourth quarter, the Eastern Washington football team traveling on the road in 100-degree heat was the fresher team than the home team that had been practicing in that. So from that standpoint, has depth been really good for you, keeping you fresh so you can play at a very high level?
Yeah, it's been huge. Having guys come in, give us blows, and me being able to play at 100% rather than 75% is huge. And obviously, I feel like it showed in the fourth quarter and overtime. And even start of the third quarter, I feel like we came out, I think we stopped them 3 and out quick and gave our offense a chance. And even, I think a lot of guys will agree, like, once the heat hit, I think we were adapted to it and we're ready to go.
There's one thing I love about this school is they'll play anybody anywhere at any time, and it doesn't matter who it is, if it's an Oregon or a Florida or a Fresno State or whatever. You guys will go on the road and you'll battle, which makes it tough on the front end. Sometimes you're behind the 8 ball, but it seems like this team's getting better and better and really getting into a situation. The Big Sky is loaded, and it's a great conference this year, but I think your prep and the way that you're starting to play, this is a great transition for this Eagle team. What do you think?
Yeah. Obviously, we have a very tough first 5 games, and no one's going to shy away from that. I don't think anyone on this team shying away from it either. We know what we're having expected. We have Southeast Louisiana, who was in the playoffs. Next, we got UC Davis. Next, we got Idaho, who just beat an FBS in Nevada. So we're excited for those, and even down the line. But right now, we're focused on Southeast Louisiana, who is a very good team, but is also 0-2. So coming this Saturday, one team's going to try to get their first win of the season, and obviously playing on the Red's a huge advantage for us because that was a huge emphasis this spring and this summer is protecting the Red, and we didn't do a great job last year, but this year we're really trying to make sure we're holding it down at home.
Two interesting teams. North Dakota State, more of a running team, gave up 3 or 4 big runs, and that was really the difference in that game, where Fresno State was more of a passing team, but you made that quarterback look bad and kind of limited what he was able to do. I love the scheme where you're able to take away the first read, disguise your defense a little bit, doing some things. Now you're going up against a team that's going to throw the ball probably when they get off the bus, the ball's going to be in the air. Does that change the way you play at linebacker, or you just go into it differently knowing you have different schemes and tendencies that you're going to have to work on?
Yeah. Obviously, NDSU, we were expecting the run, and they did exactly that, having the run. Fresno State, same thing. Southeast Louisiana's a little bit of a unicorn this year with a new QB from, I think, Northwestern State. Different guys. They had 2 quarterbacks come in. Their O-line's kind of been the same here and there. They had a couple subs, but making sure that we can step off. If we're going to stop the run first, that's our biggest priority. If we can force them in 3rd and longs, we're in a great shape.
Second year at Eastern, you've played a lot of college football in your career, but is it easier year 2 from year 1?
I'd say there's a different transition with it coming into Eastern year 1. It's kind of been finding my way, making sure that I can contribute to the team. And this year I'm trying to take a little bit of leadership role, having linebackers stay for extra time, whatever we're doing, extra film, extra work down there during after practice. It just kind of depends. So year 2 has definitely been more leadership role and just trying to get guys following each other.
Did you have anything you wanted to do in the offseason to get yourself ready to play besides just getting to 100% health?
Yeah, health was the biggest thing for me. Coming off shoulder surgery, it was tough not seeing guys or not playing with the guys during spring. I'd say the biggest thing is just relearning our scheme. Coach Kopp had a couple of tweaks here and there that I fully wasn't accustomed to yet because I didn't get those reps, and mentally I have to prepare for it. So not being able to have those reps was huge, but in the summer and then in fall camp, really taking those reps and contributing to it. So
how much can you learn just from watching?
It's here and there. It's a lot. It's pretty difficult, I'd say, because you're watching. Coach Sanders always says, you can have 100% on your tests, papers, whatever, but execution when you're playing, that's when it matters the most. And so you can do it on the X's and O's, but when you're real time playing, that's when it's kind of difficult and really shows what you know.
What are you majoring in? What do you want to do with life after football?
Yeah, I'm in my last quarter of my master's, getting my master's business administration. After that, I'll be done. Really just want to go into sales, kind of business development area. Really want to have a human interaction, if I can speak, and just make connections. And that's kind of the biggest thing, because I love talking to people, love going out and talking to different people about different things, and so really just exploring that is kind of what I'm excited for. Sometimes
when guys are in their last year, they have a pretty easy class load. It sounds like you're not going to have an easy class load this quarter.
I'd probably beg differ.
Okay.
Hey, good man.
Since Eastern it was a 1-year master's, I kind of stretched it out to 2, so I'm in one class for 6 weeks. And then after that, so it's kind of nice for me because I can focus in on Eastern football, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. I kind of loaded it up on the front end, so this back end I can honestly spend 4 or 5 hours extra just in the locker room, watching film, getting better.
All right, well, we appreciate your time, Jaren. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the show, and best of luck against Southeastern Louisiana and the rest of the year.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jaren.
That's Jaren Banks. When we come back, we'll have more of the Eagle Football Coaches Show. It's the Flight Report here on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.
George Gee Buick GMC is proud to support Eastern Eagles football. We're your locally owned dealer with excellent customer service and a friendly staff. Right now, get great offers on the all-new GMC Sierra, featuring a 2.7-liter turbo high-output engine delivering 310 horsepower. See our inventory of Sierras just off I-90 at George Gee Buick GMC, the top volume Buick GMC dealer in Washington State. Visit GeeBuickGMC.com.
3rd and 19 for Eastern Washington at their own 25. 4 wide, 2 to either side. Ball on the left hash. Here comes the blitz, 6-man rush. Vesperis over the middle, man open. Ohm, first down, out to the midfield stripe. Great extension on the catch. Welcome back as we wrap up Flight Report for this week, and let's talk about a few other sports that are on tap at Eastern right now. The women's golf team had their first fall competition of 2023. They traveled all the way to Pawleys Island, South Carolina, a place Eastern doesn't normally go. They played in the Golf Week Fall Challenge and finished 16th overall. Cammie Twanning was the top individual performer for the Eagles, and she finished 57th overall. So women's golf is underway. Men's and women's cross country is also underway, and they had their first meet a couple of weeks ago. They'll have their second meet on Friday as they run in Missoula, competing in a meet sponsored or held by the University of Montana. Congratulations to women's soccer player Maddie Morgan for the second straight week. She is the Big Sky Conference Offensive Player of the Week. Morgan had 5 goals in 2 matches last week, got 2 in a loss to Boise State on Thursday, and then got a hat trick, her second of the year, 3 goals or more in a game. She had 3 goals, all 3 goals the Eagles had, in a loss against St. Mary's. So Morgan, 5 goals last week. She's got 10 goals now on the season. She is second all-time at Eastern for goals scored in a career with 25 now. The soccer team will be in action this week on the road. They will play at UC Davis on Thursday, then at Nevada on Sunday as they wrap up their non-conference schedule and get ready for conference play. Also getting ready for conference play is the volleyball team. The Eagle women last week went 2-1 at a tournament at the University of Portland, and Thursday night they'll be back at home for their 4th home match of the year. Some years, Eastern doesn't have any non-conference home matches. This will be their 4th of the year coming up on Thursday as they host Gonzaga. 6 o'clock on Red Reefs Court if you want to watch the Eagle volleyball team. They're playing very well. We will talk to John Haraguchi, their head coach, in our pregame football broadcast on Saturday, and he'll tell us about his team then. We hope to have John and at least one of his players in a later edition of Flight Report, so you'll be able to hear more about their team. But they're in action against Gonzaga at home Thursday night. Then they're playing at Gonzaga on Saturday. And also on Saturday at Gonzaga, they will play San Diego State. So the Eagles will have a couple of games coming up then. They start Big Sky play next week at Northern Colorado on Thursday, and then at home against Montana on Saturday, the 23rd of September. So that's what's going on in a few other sports around Eastern Washington. The Eagle football team will be at home on Saturday. It is a red-out multi-care tailgate on Saturday. 1 o'clock is the kickoff time. Tickets are available. You can go to goeags.com, click on the tickets link, and get yourself tickets. Be there to support this team. First home game of the year, off a very good game against Fresno State, even though it was a loss. A very rare situation. I am a member of the Stats Perform Top 25 voting panel. I did not do this, but the Eagles had 0 points in the poll after the North Dakota State loss. And even though they lost to Fresno State, they got 9 points in the poll, which was released on Monday. So it doesn't happen very often that a team loses and then gains points in the polls, but that's what Eastern did, is they had several people voting for them in the top 25. They play 19th-ranked Southeastern Louisiana, first-time ever matchup between these teams. 1 o'clock on Saturday. Our radio broadcast starts at noon. You can listen locally on 700 ESPN, 105.3 FM in Spokane. You can listen online through the Varsity Network app, either if you have the app downloaded or go to goeags.com, click on football, click on the schedule. You'll see a listen live link there. You can hit your mouse on that, and then it'll open up the Varsity Network website, and it'll ask you if you want to listen on the app or listen on the web. And then you would, if you don't have the app downloaded, you'd want to listen on the web, and you can hear our broadcast there. If you're beyond 75 miles around Spokane, you cannot hear the game on 700ESPN.com. But if you're within 75 miles of Spokane, if you can't get for whatever reason or you don't have at home a radio, you can listen at 700ESPN.com and do that. We will be on the air starting at noon with kickoff at 1 o'clock. We want to thank our guests once again this week: running back Justice Jackson, linebacker Jaren Banks, and head coach Aaron Best. For Paul Sorensen, I'm Larry Weir. Thanks for listening to this week's Flight Report Coaches Show here on the Eagle Sports Network from Learfield.